In America, there's a crisis within Black America that you may not be aware of. We are surrounded by Black individuals and Black groups that have been sent by non-Blacks to carry out agendas. Most of these Black undercovers work to turn Black people racist and to pit them against whites while also attacking Christianity. And whenever there's a case of staged, real, or perceived injustice against Blacks by whites or police officers, these individuals and groups are used to spark, intensify, and/or direct the anger of Blacks. All of these individuals and groups can somehow get away with things others cannot, like overt racism, death threats, and even assault. And they are protected online by intelligence agencies operating fake profiles. One of these groups is Black Lives Matter, and some people know their connection to George Soros and how they're an agent provocateur group. Other groups are the Israelite camps. And notice how I said camps, not the people in the community. And under the same umbrella with the camps are certain individuals in what's called the Black conscious community. But there's another group that falls within this same category, and they have been gaining a lot more attention lately. This is the so-called new Black Panthers. And I say so-called because, as you're about to see, they have nothing to do with the original Black Panthers.
Hello, this is a message to the so-called new Black Panther Party, which resides in the United States of America. As an American citizen, I ask that you all immediately disband and stop what you are doing, which is misrepresenting an organization and a culture that you do not understand. As the child of a Black Panther, I was raised to understand that the ideals of a Black Panther shall live on. However, the physical representation of a Black Panther can and will be oftentimes misrepresented and imitated. These gentlemen are Black Panthers, and they also have the original mindset of a Black Panther, which is to ensure truth, justice, and equality for every single tax-paying American citizen, regardless of the color of their skin or their ethnicity. God bless you, and power to the people.
Ask on behalf of me, I guess, was it's in regards to young people today, and he says, is there a need for a new Black Panther Party?
The existing new Black Panther Party, listen to me, y'all, every last one of you. Thumbs down. The group now that's calling themselves the new Black Panthers, zip. Everything I talked about here to you tonight, their rhetoric is totally antithetical to what we stood for and what we were about. They are confusing our African and African-American history of what my Black Panther Party was about. Now, I appealed to them. We've had those guys at some of our reunions. They insulted us, etc., cutting my head off. That famous picture of me and Huey standing in front of the office, cutting my head up and putting Khalid's head up there. And all. That's it. And then going to be arrogant about it. And so we told them to get out. Don't come to our reunions anymore. We was trying to educate you about what we were about, you know. So I have nothing to do with them as a new Black Panthers.
Accusations against the Justice Department from a former employee. He claims that a case of voter intimidation was scaled back all because of race. It's an accusation that the DOJ flatly denies, and the U.S. Commission on Civil Rights is now investigating. But it all revolves around cell phone video taken on Election Day 2008, the day Barack Obama was elected president. Two members of the new Black Panther Party are in military-style uniforms outside a Philadelphia polling place, one of them with a nightstick.
Hi, I'm here at 1221 Fairmount in Philadelphia, and there's a guy with a billy club right here. So, do we have any problems here? What's going on? Everything okay?
Everything's fine.
I'm just making sure.
Why y'all taking 1220 Fairmount?
I'm here. I'm just a media guy, and that's all I'm doing. I'm with the University of Pennsylvania.
Card identification for that?
No. Who are you with? Sorry.
I'm security.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, I think they know about it already.
I mean, I have a poll watcher certificate, so I can go inside.
What? I'm just wondering why you come up taking pictures.
I mean, what?
I'm just wondering why everybody's taking pictures, that's all.
Okay. I mean,
No, no, no.
I think it might be a little bit intimidating that you have a stick in your hand. That's why, you know?
Yes.
Who are you to
No,
decide?
no, no, I'm an attorney.
I mean, that's a weapon, so that's why I'm a little worried.
Who are you to decide?
I mean, I am a concerned citizen, and I'm just worried that you might be...
So are we.
Okay.
That's why we're here.
Okay, but you have a nightstick in your hand.
What?
I mean,
You got a camera phone.
I have a camera phone, which is not a weapon.
Listen. Never mind. I think I'm going to call the police.
Now, this video and this story got us talking about the new Black Panther Party, a group now classified as an active hate group by the Southern Poverty Law Center and the Anti-Defamation League. Here's why.
We keep begging white people for freedom. No wonder we're not free. Your enemy cannot make you free, fool. You want freedom? You're going to have to kill some crackers. You're going to have to kill some of their babies. Let us get our act together.
That is from a new Black Panther Party rally in Philadelphia. Now, we want to make the point that the new Black Panther movement is in no way affiliated with the Black Panthers of the Civil Rights era. This is the original Black Panthers. And in light of the voter intimidation investigation, we thought that taking a look back at the 1960s movement would help us all put this in better perspective. Bobby Seale is a founding chairman of the original Black Panthers. He's joining us live from Oakland. Bobby, great to see you.
Good morning.
First of all, your reaction quickly, if you don't mind, to the cell phone video and these new Black Panthers standing there in front of the polling station. Do you believe that that was voter intimidation?
Yeah, to some degree it was. What happens is they misunderstood. They're supposed to have a candidate on the ballot or somebody they support that relates to the arguments for change that they want, and rather than having a club or something like that. And it's a misrepresentation, of course, of what we were about. I mean, I ran for mayor of Oakland. I ran for California State Assembly. We put party members on the ballot. Political electoral politics was part of our thing. We were some of the most profound grassroots community organizers in the country at the time for those days.
And I want to go deeper into that difference and the fact that you did run for office and you were so much about making change versus inciting hate. And I want to ask you, the new Black Panthers, they declined to come on air with you today. I want you to know that I did reach out and they declined to have this discussion. So with that point made, how do you feel about the fact that they are building off your legacy? They even have your book, Seize the Time, listed as a book that new Black Panthers should read. In addition, they have a 10-point plan, just like you had a 10-point plan. They use a lot of the same language, except for one thing that I noticed. The Black Panther Party from your time, the Black Panther Party that you founded, said, all power to all the people. And that's what was listed in your 10-point plan. The new Black Panther Party plan uses some of the same language, but says, all the people of color have been subjected to the white man's wrath. I look at your 10-point plan, and I see a huge difference between that and the new Black Panther Party 10-point plan.
Well, our 10-point platform and program was about all power to people. We started in the African-American community. We became a profound organization, but our principles, we were never what you call xenophobic black nationalists. We were not separatist black nationalists. That was not the name of the game. I created this party. This organization came out of my heart, mind, and soul. It was black community unity, yes, but only as a catalyst to help humanize the world. And every possible practical, progressive human being that wanted to help and work with us or work in coalition with us, other ethnic groups, other Asian, Native American, Puerto Rican, and others. This is what we had coalition politics. We crossed all racial lines and ethnic lines. And we said all power to all the people because really we was trying to get rid of institutionalized racism in America. And to run for political office is one method of trying to do that. And that's the way you want to try to get into political office, to change laws that's on the books. And this is largely what's happening. I mean, I have former Black Panther Party members. Bobby Rush is a United States congressman. Another person who was a community worker with the Black Panther Party was none other than Congresswoman Barbara Lee. I mean, and they stand up. These are stand-up people that we were fighting for constitutional, democratic, civil, human rights, economic parity, etc., that we stood for in the 1960s.
Okay, so with that point, which is exactly the point that I wanted you to make, I want you to listen to King Samir Shabazz. He's the chair of the Philadelphia chapter, and he was speaking at a rally there. Take a listen to this, and I want to get your feedback.
We didn't come out here to play today. There's too much serious business going on in the black community to be out here sliding through South Street with white, dirty, cracker whore on our arm, and we call ourselves black men with African garb on. What the hell is wrong with you, black man? You had a doomsday with a white girl on your damn arm.
How does that make you feel?
Well, I mean, it's just that old xenophobic kind of rhetoric, you know, a xenophobic kind of rhetoric that turns into sort of a kind of a racist rhetoric rather than anything that's constructive. You know, we used to say the only true culture worth holding on to was really a people's revolutionary culture. In other words, re-evolving more political, economic, and social justice power back into the hands of the people. That's really what's necessary to be held on to, rather than making absurd racial categorical remarks. That's not what it's about, you know what I mean? If they use my book, Seize the Time, they should read page 69. It says, Why We Are Not Racist. I state there, and I stated in 1970 when I wrote the book, as a political prisoner at the time, we will never ever stoop to the low scurvy level of the mentality of a racist just to hate another person just because of the color of their skin or their ethnicity. We don't do that. That's not what the goal objective. The goal objective is human liberation. The goal objective is a greater community cooperation with humanism. The goal objective is to get rid of institutionalized racism. And for instance, being a great supporter, Barack Obama is a representative of us having gotten rid of a large aspect of institutionalized racism here in the United States of America.
And final thought, just looking back at some of the pictures on your website that reminded me of what you made happen, the free breakfast program, the youth institutes, the free ambulance service. Just looking back at these images, so different, Bobby, from the images we see within the new Black Panther Party. Are you concerned about how the new Black Panther Party is affecting your legacy and the good things you did, as you say, not only for the African-American community, but for all?
Well, the problem with the young people, you see, the new Black Panthers have been around since 1989, out of Dallas, Texas originally, and the old Black Panthers there called me up. They're a bunch of PhDs and stuff, and says, Chairman Bobby, you got to do something and come down here and speak about these guys because they're distorting what we were about. So they don't understand this. So the new Black Panthers in their changed and form have never put up one of these kinds of programs. Now, the programs help unify the people in the community, unify the electoral power in the community. When you unify the electoral power in the community, then you're doing a heck of a lot more because you're going to the core, you're going to the law books, you're going to the city charters, you're going to the legislative framework that made the laws in the first place. You know, when Rosa Parks was forced to move to the back of the bus, there was a law on the books that said that. So the objective is to change that law, and that's the way you change institutionalized racism in America. Now, we got attacked, and we defended ourselves. I mean, I have 28 dead Black Panther Party members by the end of December, you know what I mean? But then steps in, who steps in? United States Congress. Finally, we got Ted Kennedy and Senator Church to step in, and they put the FBI and the police on the hot seat about running around attacking all our Black Panther Party. After that, there were never, ever many more shootouts in the Black community. And we went on to continue to run for political office, organize programs, get whole major institutions in our community, etc. That is what evolving human liberation is truly about.
Bobby Seale, founder of the original Black Panthers, not to be associated with the new Black Panther movement. What an honor to talk to you today, and what a great discussion. I really appreciate your time, Bobby.
Thank you.
Unfortunately, there are still too many people who are not cognizant. They are not aware of just how despicable the tactics were that were used not only against Dr. King, but against others of us in the movement, in the struggle. And that's of all colors.
Well, and that's right, because Martin Luther King wasn't alone. You, of all people, know that. You had firsthand experience in being threatened, and like we were saying at the beginning, you were a victim of COINTELPRO. And many civil rights leaders were threatened back then. They were targeted. And now we know that we have your FBI files as well. So we know what COINTELPRO had to say about Larry Pinckney as well. And we got this information through the Freedom of Information Act, thanks to author William Mandel. And I want to read some of this. This is the FBI files on you, Larry. Pinckney is potentially dangerous due to his demonstrated ability to unify black and white. His associates are Negro, white, and Chinese. Special attention is being given to neutralizing him. The areas of sex and drugs appear to be the most effective ones to utilize. His habits in these areas are unknown, but are being monitored with this objective. So that was the official file on Larry Pinckney obtained through the Freedom of Information Act. What on earth were you thinking when you first read this document? I can imagine what you must have been thinking at the time.
Well, disgust, pain. I mean, I still feel the pain today. But let's remember, COINTELPRO, the counterintelligence program, is still going on. In fact, components of it have been codified into the law under the NDAA, the Patriot Act, et cetera, et cetera. And let us not forget Obama's famous or infamous kill list. So what was I thinking? I was thinking, what a shame. What shame on the ideals, the principles that this country, and I do believe many, if not most of the people in this country do believe in decent and upright ideals. So it fills me with great pain, great anger, but also with a determination to carry on, because I know these tactics have not stopped. If anything, they've simply been tweaked and carried on.
Well, yeah, and I think it has always been the intent of the United States government as well as the globalists to, they don't want to unite us, they want to divide us, right? And the examples right here in the FBI documents, they are saying that that's what made you such a dangerous threat to the establishment, was your ability to unify people of all color. And really, when you think about it, times really haven't changed that much, because now look what we have in Ferguson that's going on right now. Do you think that the establishment is using Ferguson, for example, to further divide the nation, to racially divide the nation?
Of course. It is absolutely no doubt whatsoever that that is what the establishment is doing. That's the modus operandi, if you will, of the establishment. It hasn't changed. It continues to do the same thing. The only difference, which is not really different, is that we now have an articulate liar in the color of a colored man. I refuse to call him a black man, who is now the head, okay, or at least the nominal head, the figurehead, if you will, for these ongoing despicable actions that hurt everyday, ordinary black, white, brown, red, and yellow people. People of all colors in our nation.
Well, what do you think about the so-called the new Black Panthers and their attempts to ignite riots in Ferguson? Do you think, see, I always thought that the new Black Panthers, they remind me of an agent provocateur organization. What are your thoughts?
Well, you know, my parents always said to me that the taste of the pudding, okay, the proof of the pudding, rather, is in the taste.
I hear you.
The proof of the pudding is in the taste. So all I mean is that actions, as we said in the original Black Panther Party, not to be confused with the so-called new Black Panther Party, okay, the proof of the pudding is in the taste. Where are their national programs to feed? Where are their programs, their clinic programs, national programs? Where are their programs to reach out to brothers and sisters of all colors? You know, so I have to let their own actions speak for them, all right? And their own actions, I believe, give a very, very dim view of what they claim to be about. And furthermore, as a veteran of the original Black Panther Party, I find it utterly disgusting that they would steal the name of the Black Panther Party and so many brothers and sisters of all colors, whether they were in the Black Panther Party or any other progressive, quote unquote, organizations who died who gave their lives, like at Kent State in Ohio, like at Jackson State in Mississippi. All right, this is utterly unacceptable.
Well, thankfully, the legacy of the real Black Panther Party continues through your courageous work as well as the rest of the original alumni as the struggle continues, my friend. And all I can say was it was a pleasure to have you on the show once again, and we look forward to having you come back. Any last thoughts before we go?
I just say what we always say, and what I always say to you, my brother, is all power
to the people.
All power to the people.
All right, Larry, thanks for hanging out with me.
Thank you so much.
All right, and that guy's the real deal right there, ladies and gentlemen.
COINTELPRO Revisited, Spying and Disruption by Brian Glick. Fronts for the FBI. COINTELPRO documents reveal that a number of 60s political groups and projects were actually set up and operated by the FBI.
Well, what do you think about the so-called the new Black Panthers and their attempts to ignite riots in Ferguson? Do you think, see, I always thought that the new Black Panthers, they remind me of an agent provocateur organization.
Black church leaders in St. Louis say a man pretending to spread messages of peace is actually behind escalating violence in Ferguson.
Yeah, they're pointing the finger at Malik Shabazz, former leader of the new Black Panther Party. Investigative reporter Chris Negus is live in Ferguson with more on how actual peacekeepers plan to stop Shabazz tonight.
That's right, Steve. This week we have seen Malik Shabazz out here in the streets on West Florissant in Ferguson. He is no stranger to the limelight. He's been very vocal in Ferguson, and now some church leaders in this area are being vocal about kicking him out of Ferguson.
I am upset with a certain group of them that are here that are rebel rousers, and there are a few that are in the crowd. We know them name by name.
Pastor Mike Robinson is part of a growing peacekeeping movement on the streets of Ferguson. At night, his group works to keep angry demonstrators calm, which at times can be an impossible job. Have you been scared out here yet?
Absolutely. Last night was probably the scariest moment of my life.
Robinson says there's growing concern over this man, Malik Zulu Shabazz.
We want the officer Darren Wilson arrested. We're here for Mike Brown, and we're not going to let outside infiltrators come in and destroy our good movement.
But Robinson says Shabazz is an outside infiltrator himself, an attorney from Washington, D.C., who's causing problems.
I literally watched him cause chaos within a large group of people and prepare to send them towards the front line where the police are, and then he shifts and begins to say, oh, let's keep the peace, let's keep the peace.
Robinson doesn't mince words.
We're calling him out. Our group is calling him out. We want him out of our city. We don't need his help. Not at all. He's doing nothing but causing chaos.
According to the Anti-Defamation League, Shabazz is the former leader of the new Black Panther Party and has sought to recast himself as a serious civil rights leader that inserts himself in high-profile, racially charged situations. According to the Southern Poverty Law Center, Shabazz is skilled at organizing provocative protests. Local church leaders say they plan to keep a close eye on Shabazz tonight as they try to keep the peace once again on the streets of Ferguson.
He's one of those gentlemen that's trying to get in the limelight. He wants it to seem as if he is really doing some great work, but we have watched him on several occasions cause controversy.
First off, we want to thank you all for coming out here today so we can set the record straight as to what went on August 8th, 2015. I want to start off by reading an opening statement from Taruba Ben Wahad, elder who was attacked along with myself and 4 other brothers. Yoruba's just had surgery. His jaw is broken in 3 different places, so his jaw is wired, so he can't really speak. So I'll be reading some of his notes as we go along, if there's anything he wants to add on here, right? He says, "Thank you to all who have shown a principled interest in what happened to me and my comrades. Though the lies, half-truths, misleading statements made by the NBPP are obvious an attempt at self-justification, there are no 2 sides to this incident. The New Black Panther Party is a bogus organization created specifically to mislead our community with a hate whitey doctrine that fills the bankrolls of the government and white supremacists. There is no other side to such treachery, deceit, and cowardice." That's from Daruba. First and foremost, we wanted to start by recanting the event so that folks get a better understanding. We know you've heard from the New Black Panther Party and other individuals who had their comments and so on and so forth. We wanted you to hear straight from the horse's mouth what actually took place. First and foremost, we attended the event because we knew that Malik Zulu Shabazz and the New Black Panther Party had been ran out of Charleston, South Carolina. They had been ran out of Charleston, South Carolina under the guise of being a hate group. And what had happened, there was a situation where the National Action Network in Charleston, South Carolina had put out a statement, and they denounced, at a press conference, they denounced the Black Panther Party and saying that the Black Panther Party was a hate group. At that point, Daruba, Ben Wahad, myself and others, we asked the National Action Network to retract that statement because of the fact that the Black Panther Party no longer existed. So what happened was they acknowledged that they were speaking of the New Black Panther Party and that they didn't have anything to do with the Black Panther Party, so they issued another statement saying that they were denouncing the actions of the New Black Panther Party, and it was them who they were calling a hate group. Okay, we understood at that point Malik Zulu Shabazz and the Malik Zulu Shabazz and the New Black Panther Party decided to set up an event in the Atlanta area because they wanted to regain their credibility. We know that we built a strong coalition here in the Atlanta area with our coalition, the National Coalition to Combat Police Terrorism, with folks like our co-chair Daruba Ben Wahad, co-chair Cynthia McKinney, myself, and a number of other different folks that have come together. We formed a coalition with members of all different types of organizations, including the local chapters of the National Action Network, including local activists, so on and so forth. So we knew that Malik Zulu Shabazz and his crew would come in to try to undermine not only that particular coalition, but also the fact that the 49th annual Black Panther commemoration would be held here in October of 2015, in which we were facilitating the Black Panther reunion along with members of the Black Panther alumni. So they knew that they had to act fast in order to throw the people off course, so on and so forth. So we wanted to go there and speak to them about that and address them publicly, because it was a public event. It wasn't a private event. They put it out there as if, you know, it was some private meeting and we came in to disrupt. That was totally not the case. We walked into the venue. There were 6 of us all together, including Daruba and myself. We walked towards the front, and we ended up on the side of the stage. At that point, Malik Zulu Shabazz, who is an attorney who supposedly or allegedly stepped down from chairperson, he asked, "Who was that?" At that point, Daruba replied, "You know who I am." From there, Malik Zulu Shabazz decided to say, "Wahad, we'll deal with you later on." At that point, Daruba replied that, "You know, you can deal with me now." As that took place, Malik, from the microphone, he decided to, he made an announcement, "Get his ass out of here." Get his bitch ass out of here, excuse me. Get his bitch ass out of here. And at that point, we were rushed from the side. I saw coming down the aisle, there was maybe 10, 15 men coming from the side, a number of other different uniformed new Black Panther members running up on us from all sides. We were in the front, so we really didn't have anywhere to go. So at that point, I decided to make a way in between that aisle so that we can have some clearance. So at that point, I met 6 brothers, you know, defended myself as much as I could with that, and I was hit in the back with a chair, a banquet chair. And at that point, I continued to, I staggered over. One of the members grabbed me by my head and attempted to snap my neck like it was some type of TV or movie. I was kind of surprised because of the fact that I'm like, wow, if he would have been able to snap my neck, then I would be dead. So he actually tried to take me out. So as I'm falling, I was put inside of a chokehold. I'm being choked. Big guy falls on top of me from behind. I turn my head, and he's putting all of his strength in it. He's cussing, and there's some guys kicking and trying to stomp me, and some of them yelling, "Kill him, kill him." So I don't even believe this because of the fact that, first and foremost, we have our, you know, our disagreements. We recognize their contradictions and all that type of stuff, but we never, our intention was not to go to this particular venue to cause harm on them. And definitely, certainly not to kill them. I mean, that's just a little bit over the top based on politics, you know. But as I'm being choked out, you know, being kicked, and they're saying kill him, and I hear all this, and all of a sudden, I realize that the way this guy's positioned on me, his weight and everything, and choking me, I couldn't escape. I end up blacking out. After a few, I don't know exactly how long I was out, but after a few, I shook it off, got up, kind of staggered, where I met one of the other brothers, threw a chair at the door to try to get it open. After a few seconds, Daruba and a couple of the other brothers were being drugged out. At that point, we realized that we didn't know that his jaw was broken, but we saw that his face was swollen, his eyes was black. You know, I was told that they held him up and attacked him along with other brothers. One of our brothers' scalp was split open. He has 6 staples in the back of his head. You know, a couple of the other brothers' heads were gashed. You know, so everyone's bleeding, and we're trying to, you know, make sense of it, and at the same time, get up out of there. I should note that when we first arrived, there was 2 police motorcycles in front of the hotel. While this incident's going on, there's no police, there's no security, any of that type of stuff. It's just a free-for-all inside of this ballroom. Of course, no one came to our aid. You know, people were, I guess, in a state of shock, or they were scared, or just in disbelief, or whatever, what went on. But as we're leaving out, we're leaving through the hotel gate. It's a gated parking situation, and all of us is in one Jeep, one truck. And we're coming out, and we see 2 ambulances and a fire truck, and those ambulances are putting, I guess, their guys inside of the back of the wagon. So it was just interesting that with all of this taking place, you know, the ambulances and the fire truck just happened to be on the scene, you know, and this was the results. At this point, you know, I don't know if there's anything Daruba's going to write down, comments, or what have you. But there's been a number of different contradictions with the new Black Panther Party, with, you know, principled organizations as a whole. You know, but again, you know, I don't know of any organization that wanted to take them out. We're all African people, and we're supposed to be fighting for the same cause. But apparently, this appears to be different.
You mentioned the Black Panther Party alumni. Have they reached out to you? Have they asked you how do you feel, or did they display their displeasure or of what went on?
Absolutely. I mean, these are a number of Daruba's comrades. So naturally, we've seen email posts from everybody from, Facebook posts from everybody from Bobby Seale to Kinu and a number of other different Panthers, and not only Panthers, but folks who are his comrades for over 40 years. We received calls from as far as Australia and Bangladesh and, you know, different parts of the country, different parts of the world. So many people are outraged, both elders and youth, because of the fact that they know that this brother right here is not only is he an elder, not only is he 71 years old, first and foremost, no one should be putting their hands on anyone, especially an elder. But also, I mean, served 19 years in prison under COINTELPRO. It's ironic that these guys, according to some of our sources, they're printing on their Facebook pages that this is a COINTELPRO movement. So they're trying to flip the basket on everyone but them. But we ask you to ask, how is it that a attorney at law, an officer of the court, how can he call shots to have someone attacked publicly in the public arena? You know, they keep saying that, well, you know, Malik Shabazz isn't the chairperson of the new Black Panther Party. There's no chairperson that could come into the FTP movement, excuse me, no one that's not a chairperson that can come into the FTP movement or the National Coalition to Combat Police Terrorism and call some shots from the stage and our security react. If we had been coming to this particular summit or forum with any intent of malice or to rumble any of that type of stuff, we have plenty of members, we have plenty of folks who are highly trained in security that we would have called upon, but that wasn't our mission. Our mission was just to deal with the facts and to point out the contradictions.
Has there been any communication with either of you and members of the new Black Panther Party since the incident?
We don't have anything to say to the new Black Panther Party because of the fact that they've crossed lines that they shouldn't have crossed. This situation right here could have been avoided in several ways. But we have absolutely nothing to say to the new Black Panther Party. To us, in fact, I go on record and saying that talking to the new Black Panther Party is like talking to the police. And we don't talk to the police. Do you have anything you want to do? Daruba stated that many of the comrades from the Black Panther alumni are concerned about security issues in regards to the 49th anniversary that's going to take place here. We want to assure not only the alumni, but we want to assure the people as a whole that our security is tight to the maximum. And we are all on alert because of the fact that, again, they've crossed lines that should have never been crossed. You know, it baffles me as to how you can stand before our people and say that you are for our liberation, but then attack one of your elders. Here it is that you say that that you are the new Black Panther Party, but you attack someone whose namesake you're utilizing. This is someone who you are pretending to be like. You know what I'm saying? As one of our comrades who was attacked stated on social media, they're yelling hands off Asada, but then they put their hands on the Ruger. This is unacceptable. This is very unacceptable. You know, I really don't know how we can resolve this issue.
There are people suggesting type of tribunal when third party is involved. Are you not open to having involving a third party in resolving the issue?
I see what Daruba has to say to that because I don't really have I don't have too much faith in a lot of these folks. There's a lot of liberalism in this movement, and that's part of the reason why things like this are even why the ground's even you know, set. You know, Daruba, coming from him as an elder, he says that he's not open to any reconciliation, and it's understandable. This man is here; he has a family. You know what I'm saying? We all, every member of our the brothers who came to that particular summit, we have families. You know what I'm saying? We have children, grandchildren, so on and so forth. You know, so you know, you violated it in a way that is, you know, it's unbelievable. So I really can't see like how we're gonna reconcile that. Like I stated earlier, man, you know, this quote unquote movement is super liberal. It's all the way liberal. It's funny because of the fact that you hear different people. They say, you know, well, you know, we don't want no bloodshed and we don't want blood spilling in the street and all that. We're not saying any of that, but we are saying that you should not approach us. You definitely shouldn't approach us because of the fact that you called for our death. You called for a you know, for us to be taken out. And it is by the grace of the Creator that we're actually sitting here talking to you all. You know, again, we had one of our brothers, he has staples in his head right now. 6 staples in the back of his head. This man's jaw's broke, he had surgery, so on and so forth. You know, and myself, I mean, and a number of other brothers. So we're not interested in talking. If you're going to attack a 71-year-old man who is unarmed, let me state that because of the fact that we get all this nonsense coming out. If you're going to attack a 71-year-old that is unarmed, who has committed themselves to our liberation struggle, then there's nothing that you won't do. I don't understand how you can say you're for the ancestors and the elders. You can't stand up and claim that you respect political prisoners, and here it is, a political prisoner. We were just standing with Sekou Odinga a couple weeks ago, who just got out after, what, 33 years? Same week, a few days after we were attacked during this month of Black August this year, last week, Hugo Yogi Pinell is murdered after 52 years in prison, murdered inside the California prison system. But yet you guys who tried to take us out for all practical purposes, you have the audacity to say you represent political prisoners. You have the audacity to say that you're for our people, you're here to respect the elders, so on and so forth. It's taking everything in me, I gotta say, for me not to just really, every time I think about it, it really pisses me off, for lack of better words.
Okay, so they'll beat up an elderly man and they'll confront a small group of white people or a small group of Klansmen, something like that. But do you ever see them going to go confront black gangbangers and drug dealers who destroy the black community on a daily basis and kill children on a weekly basis? Nope. Their enemy is somehow only whites and police officers, the very same targets of these New World Order agendas.
The former president of the Greenville County NAACP is speaking out against the new Black Panthers Party and its leader. Paul Guy says what happened last weekend in Newberry is wrong and dangerous. 30-year-old Anthony Hill is dead. Authorities say he was shot to death, then dragged behind a truck for more than 10 miles.
There was no proof about whether it was a hate crime or not.
This is the man charged with the murder, 19-year-old Gregory Collins. It's a horrible crime that Minister Paul Guy says has now risen to a new, dangerous level.
If the NAACP was in place, the new Black Panther Party wouldn't been there in the first place.
Last Saturday, the new Black Panthers came to Newberry, bringing about 200 people to march on the courthouse. Their message, the black community should not trust law enforcement.
And so we will secure our own march with our own community. Brothers, you all are deputized. All of the Crips, the Bloods, the Vice Lords, we are one black family.
What family is talking about? The civil rights family?
But it's that statement that is not sitting well with Guy.
He has declared that the state of South Carolina is a breeding ground, or could be possible breeding ground, for three of the most notorious gangs in the United States.
As a member of the Community Gang Task Force, he's calling on civil rights officials, religious leaders, and the NAACP to condemn the new Black Panthers Party and its leader. By not doing so, Guy says,
you just gave legitimacy to a criminal element.
Guy says what the new Black Panthers did last weekend in Newberry is criminal and even more destructive than the KKK.
Los Angeles, California, summer of 1965. Following the arrest of a black motorist for drunk driving, the predominantly black neighborhood of Watts explodes. When the Watts riots subside 6 days later, 34 people are dead, 4,000 people arrested, and an estimated $100 million in property destroyed. By 1967, poverty, inequality, and racial discrimination spark over 100 similar riots in U.S. cities. Violent racial unrest sweeps the country, and a new militant movement emerges. At the forefront is an Oakland, California group called the Black Panther Party for Self-Defense.
The original Black Panther Party was founded in October of 1966. It's coming on the heels of the assassination of Malcolm X. It's emerging on the heels of the Black Rebellion in Watts. There is a sense in which the citizens of Oakland feel under siege. They're looking elsewhere to imagine a politics that will allow them to respond to the conditions of their living.
The Panthers, led by Huey Newton and Bobby Seale, break with the nonviolent methods of the civil rights movement, advocating instead for armed self-defense of the black community.
Black Panther Party said that in order for black people to be free, the American government and the American structure had to be completely rent and reconstructed in a revolutionary way. To think that you are going to seek freedom from your oppressor is ridiculous. To think we're going to march and say no justice, no peace from now to doomsday is an absurdity. So once you understand that, and now a mechanism is in place, a guy named Huey Newton stands up and organizes other men and women, and they patrol the streets and they say, this is what black people know of the government, justice on the street.
The original Black Panthers were not a separatist organization. They didn't want to leave the U.S. They wanted to reinvent it. Their rallying cry was Black Power. They combined black nationalism with Marxist philosophy and sought to overthrow the U.S. capitalist system of governance.
And by revolution, we meant the end of capitalism. We meant the institution of a socialist-like scheme. We said that we were communists. We were also black. We believed in black people.
Black people saved!
Using mass organizing tactics like rallies in poor neighborhoods, Panthers swell from 400 members to over 5,000 in 1969. Their belief, all power to all the people, helps them form alliances with other radical organizations, including those run by whites.
All power to all the people. There are 6 billion living human beings on the face of this earth right now. It has evolved to be such. You know, and it is not about just one ethnic group. You cannot even talk about African American people's community and human liberation unless you talk about all people's human liberation.
The original Panthers, what they really truly were about was trying to kind of uplift people in tough situations. You know, they also explicitly reached out to work with other races. They worked with the Young Lords, Puerto Ricans. They worked with all kinds of white leftists, and they really did.
And remember, the original Black Panthers and the black people of that time experienced real racism when they went outside, not media and Facebook created racism that is only experienced through a screen.
There really wasn't racist rhetoric about whites, you know, all white people need killing. I mean, it was very explicitly about the power structure.
Enforcing their right to bear arms, however, caused the Panthers trouble, and they became embroiled in numerous armed confrontations with the police.
We were always expected to defend ourselves, and that's what the Black Panther Party was and remained. There was always in place a rule that you just didn't get taken out by the police with your gun. You know, if you had a gun, you're supposed to defend yourself, return fire. You're not supposed to, nobody in the Black Panther Party, not at any point, thought you were supposed to lay down your gun.
They drafted a 10-point plan that called for adequate food and housing, an end to black service in the military, and the release of blacks from jail. They also served their community with many needed services and social programs, such as a breakfast program for poor black children, a free ambulance service, and legal aid. In 1989, over a decade after the demise of Huey Newton's Black Panther Party, the new Black Panther Party was started in Dallas, Texas. A local radio talk show producer resurrected the name and gathered a group of blacks who took up shotguns and marched against a school board official who used a racial slur against black students.
The new Black Panther Party was started when there was no Black Panther Party. It was started by Brother David Foreman and Brother Aaron Michaels in the late 1980s because they believed in the Panther. They believed that the struggle that Huey Newton and Bobby Seale, who founded the Black Panther Party in the 1960s, should be continued, and that the spirit of liberation, the spirit of revolution, and the program of self-defense and community development should live on.
The new Panthers used the militant rhetoric and confrontational style of the original Panthers, but abandoned their core principle of all power to all the people.
And black power, yo!
Instead, the new Black Panther Party kept the Panther name, but added a fiery brand of black separatism, black nationalism, and anti-Semitism. The new party and their militant tactics attracted a small nationwide following during the next several years.
In the beginning, New Black Panther Party held a youth rally
And they invited Tom Metzger, who's the head of the White Aryan Resistance, and they both agreed, the white supremacists and the black supremacists agreed that they should be separate and live their own lives.
Militant and at times hate-filled language has been a core component of the new Black Panther Party since its beginnings. But the rhetoric intensified under Dr. Khalid Muhammad,
who was another undercover worker who came out of another undercover organization, the Nation of Islam,
who became the group's de facto leader in 1998.
And Black Power.
When the new Black Panther Party teamed up with Khalid Abdul Muhammad, who was a former NOI spokesperson, the hardcore anti-Semitism and racism really became part of what was attractive to a lot of people about the new Black Panther Party.
Khalid was the national spokesman for the nation's leader, Minister Louis Farrakhan. His outspoken rhetoric made him a hero to some young members of the NOI.
Khalid Muhammad was a firebrand, he was charismatic, he was powerful, he resonated with young black people, he resonated with the hip-hop generation. He was a force to be reckoned with in many ways outside of the Nation of Islam.
I say to the Jewish people.
The Nation of Islam, a religious organization, was founded in 1930 and claims to promote Islamic beliefs and black pride. But in 1993, Khalid brought pressure on the organization when he gave a speech at New Jersey's Keene College and referred to Jewish people as bloodsuckers and the Pope as a cracker.
Perpetrating a fraud just crawled out of the caves and hills of Europe. So-called Jew make you believe that you are not the chosen people of
His
God.
remarks were so strident that Khalid was censured by the U.S. Congress. In response to the public outcry, Minister Louis Farrakhan suspended Khalid from the leadership of the Nation of Islam.
I found the speech vile in manner.
The Nation of Islam wanted him to tone down his rhetoric, and Khalid Muhammad found a space where he could say what he wanted to say without someone telling him that he needs to tone down his rhetoric, and that organization was the new Black Panther Party.
Wake up, lead up, and stand up.
In 1998, Khalid became the de facto leader of the new Black Panther Party for self-defense.
I was at a meeting of the new Black Panthers, and I observed a speech given by Khalid Muhammad, where he said that you should not just go into white people's houses and just kill the white man and his wife. He said you should go into that bedroom and find that little white baby and stab him in his chest. I looked around, there were about 200 or more people in that room. Of course, I think that anybody in here might be crazy enough to do that. And you always ask yourself the question, what's the effect? Will that have a positive effect on a movement or a negative effect? I don't think anybody can conclude anything but that it would have a negative effect.
A black man cannot be a racist. A racist means to have prejudice plus power. You cannot show me where whites were imprisoned, where they were discriminated against, where they were denied opportunity against because of his words. His words were spoken out of pain and suffering for an oppressed people. They're two different standards.
Black Power! Black Power! Black Power! Black Power!
Minister Khalid Abdul Muhammad made his transition to the ancestors.
Black Power!
Black Power!
Khalid died in 2001 of a brain aneurysm, but his teachings and beliefs still guide the new Black Panther Party.
And he'll be the devil tomorrow. Black Power!
Dr. Khalid Abdul Muhammad will always remain our mentor and always remain our ideological standard bearer. He is the master teacher of black nationalism and Pan-Africanism and revolution in our midst. Even though he's not here, it is our duty to carry his word and legacy on. He not only talked about it and talked the talk, he walked the walk. And he organized and stood up black men and black women, and he never cowed down in the face of opposition.
In 2001, Malik Zulu Shabazz was named chairman of the party. With a law degree from Howard University, Zulu Shabazz seeks to reshape the organization into more of a social activist group.
The leadership has decided that they can have an impact with street theater. It's much more difficult to actually go into a community and try to door-to-door deal with some kind of education about HIV positive rates that are rising in the inner city of Detroit. That's not glamorous. It involves knocking on doors. It involves trying to organize people. It's much easier and more glamorous and romantic to put on black uniforms as a 1960s Black Panther, put on black gloves and put your fists in the air and get on TV. That's easy.
That's police brutality.
Really, what I think is going on with Shabazz is that what he really does, which is look around the country for, hot racial situations, is exactly what the Klan groups and the neo-Nazi groups do. The fact is that Shabazz has been connected to, the most militant, the most racist people in the black nationalist world for pretty much his whole career.
There are those like Malik Zulu Shabazz and his new Black Panthers who reject politics as a means to effect real change. They believe the solution to issues such as discrimination, police brutality, and hate crimes is separation from white society.
He sees himself as a militant black man who is fighting for the African community by any means necessary. Black rage is not just revolutionary, like the original Panthers may have used that term, or black power. For him, it is a combination of black power and hatred.
The new Black Panther Party does not have the wide support of the black community, and it remains a controversial fringe group.
We believe in telling the truth. We're the last ones with the truth left. We don't bow to the ADL, the Southern Poverty Law Center. We bow to God Almighty. The ADL has banned, in their opinion, nationalism and Pan-Africanism. And so we don't pay attention to what they say. I've been taught by the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad that the devil will never give you credit for your righteousness. That you're not going to go on the internet or see on Fox News, Sean Hannity. The new Black Panther Party did a great event today. They don't want to hear Malik Zulu Shabazz, the attorney at war, fighting for our people. You didn't hear anything on the national news about our efforts in New Orleans to rescue our people out of the muck and out of the water. The enemy has no design to portray us in a positive light. And that's why we want freedom and liberation to control our own TV and our own images, because we don't have the power to tell our story.
While the new Black Panther Party claims they serve the community, it's their tactics that infuriate many former original Panther members.
Their statements not represent what the Black Panther Party was about. We're racist not only towards white folks, but even other peoples of color. And this was just totally out of whack.
Brandishing the image of the Panther also concerns the original group, who remain protective of their Panther legacy.
You guys have been around since 1988, the so-called New Black Panthers. It's almost 20 years, and I've not seen one relevant, tangible program that you set up in the community to serve the people as a means to help raise their conscience and unify them in opposition to their oppressors. All you do is spew rhetoric and talk.
I think the original Panthers, David Hilliard and Bobby Seale and those people are absolutely right to call out this group and to say, this is a racist hate group. It is not so different from the groups that we battled in the 60s.
In the Highland Park section of Detroit sits an unassuming office. A faded panther adorns the outside of the building. Inside, former new Black Panther Party member Malik Shabazz.
This is the same thing we see with the Israelite camps, how one person will leave an organization to go start their own organization and try to pretend like their organization is totally different from the former organization. But when you look closely, they still have poison in their doctrine.
Runs a small grassroots organization. Although he will not disclose membership numbers, he asserts his members are dedicated to elevating his people to nationhood.
New Marcus Garvey movement, Black Panther Nation. We're about revolutionary Pan-African black nationalism. Revolution meaning complete, constructive, total, cosmic change. Pan-African meaning all African people across the planet are one, need to unite, need to work together, need to have a relation. Black being the origin of life. As the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, we're not black because we're cursed, we're black because we're first. Everything, all life starts out in blackness.
Malik Shabazz is no relation to the man who currently runs the new Black Panther Party. He chose his name from the Muslim name of Malcolm X. Although this Shabazz is also a separatist who believes in building a black nation within the U.S., his tactics differ from those of the new Black Panthers. He registers voters, stages protests over what he considers to be unjust conditions, visits homeless shelters, and advocates for educational reform. He follows Marcus Garvey, a black nationalist who first put forth his ideas nearly a century ago. Malik Shabazz is keeping Garvey's beliefs alive in the 21st century. His ultimate goal is separate societies segregated on the basis of skin color. He wants blacks to have the chance to build their own nation.
We've got to get power. We've got to have some independence and show other people that we are ready for nationhood.
Shabazz believes the only way to create that sense of nationhood for blacks is through revolution. Although he believes it will take armed revolution to achieve his goals, he does not believe the time is right for that uprising. He claims his people must first work within their own neighborhoods to elevate themselves, so they are prepared to rule their own nation.
Dr. Khalid Muhammad, the baddest brother I've ever met. Dr. Khalid Muhammad was the man. Malcolm X times 25. He brought the thunder, he brought the roar, he brought the funk, he brought the pain. Real, committed, consistent, brilliant, highly educated, fierce, bold, warrior, militant, but loving. He was the greatest. I love him in life and in death.
Shabazz left the new Black Panther Party after Dr. Khalid died. This led Shabazz to start the new Black Panther Nation, new Marcus Garvey movement.
We try to be broad. Narrow nationalism will not work, and we've got to be more universal. We've also got to be able to accept decent European help. Not membership, but help. If white folks want to clean up the ghetto and want to help, they can. But they can't join, but they can feel free to roll. And we treat everybody the same. And we do realize you have to be able to work with government when you can to get things done. We're not interested in dying strong in the saddle with our boots on, 100% ideologically correct, and we haven't accomplished anything. It's about getting something done right here and right now, because our children are dying right here and right now. That's what we're about.
Amen.
Amen.
In Detroit, Shabazz and his organization are slowly effecting change.
Okay, brothers and sisters, we're going to get ready to march. I can hear you. Are you ready? Yeah. One more time. Are you ready? Yeah. I can hear you. Are you ready?
Yeah.
I know that Malik Shabazz in Detroit has actually gotten out in front of crack houses and picketed and brought attention upon these drug dealers in the community and basically shamed the police into coming in and stopping them. One of the most positive things from the new Black Panthers in Detroit was a movement to shut down these dope houses.
While Shabazz's Detroit organization works to exalt his people to nationhood, in New York City, a group of new Black Panthers are looking to bring down the U.S. government so as to build a black nation from the ashes. Harlem, New York, July 5th. Members of the New York, Trenton, and Newark chapter of the new Black Panther Party march along Frederick Douglass Boulevard to 125th Street in New York City. They have come to celebrate a festival they call the 4th of July. It's an ironic and accusatory title, highlighting the fact that American independence in 1776 did nothing for enslaved blacks. In fact, the Constitution, when ratified, measured all slaves as only 3/5 of a person.
Frederick Douglass argued that July 4th had a different meaning for African Americans than for whites. At that day, July 4th, 1776, the vast majority of black people in North America were enslaved. And then for the remaining another 90 years, they found themselves also enslaved.
Shaka Shakur is the leader of the Harlem chapter of the new Black Panther Party.
It's already bad enough that the new Black Panthers are in different cities across the nation, but there are also other fake Black Panther groups out there.
No justice, no peace! No justice, no peace!
Their voices are getting louder.
Milwaukee is suffering. Black and brown people in Milwaukee are suffering. That time is done. That time is done.
They're called the original Black Panthers of Milwaukee. They're vocal at Common Council meetings, pushing for African American rights.
When I say by any means necessary, if it's economic boycotting, if it's recalling, we'll do all of that. I mean, the insurrection has already started.
Here you see the armored vehicle has just moved in.
The fighting and the fires in Sherman Park last summer sparked the Panthers' resurgence to the spotlight.
Peaceful protesting, marching, singing, "We shall overcome," those times are over. They worked in the past, but we need to change the dynamics now where we have to force the issue.
The man in charge is Daryl Farmer, but he prefers the name King Rick. He shared his message with us inside of one of the Panther offices.
This is the most segregated city in the United States. Our educational system sucks. And when you have all of these negative things going on in the community, it breeds chaos, it breeds mayhem, it breeds carnage.
The Panther protests have been peaceful.
But you said sometimes violence is necessary?
America was built on violence, wasn't it?
Does it need to be continued to be built up by violence?
I think what needs to be done is the powers that be, the politicians, the lawmakers, need to change the dynamics so it doesn't happen again.
But there's an interesting twist to this story. There is competition from another group called the Revolutionary Black Panther Party. Their members march with guns, armed with nationwide membership. Meantime, the original Panthers are only in Milwaukee. The two groups got into a shouting match at MPS headquarters last month.
They have their agenda and we have our agenda, and as long as it's for the betterment of the community, it is what it is. We won't say anything negative against anyone black in our community if they're not a detriment.
Our military mission is to feed, clothe, shelter, train, and defend our people.
Dr. Ali Muhammad is the Revolutionary Black Panther leader. He likes any group pushing for racial equality, but would not call King Rick or his local group equal in the Panther community.
Is he a true Black Panther?
He's a modern day Black Panther, but he has no connection, so he's not a true Black Panther at all. He's not. He's not a true Black Panther.
In the 90s, King Rick was a bodyguard to the controversial Milwaukee alderman and fellow Black Panther Michael McGee Sr., and he's a man who knows struggle. Back in '06, he was busted for cocaine possession. He called it a mistake. He did his time and claims he's now committed to being a force for good. He gave out turkeys at Thanksgiving and presents at Kwanzaa. He's a retired French teacher who is particularly motivated to help young men.
We want to direct your anger. We want to direct your displeasure in the right direction. And that comes with education. That comes with jobs. That comes with love.
Since we talked to both Black Panther groups, the two leaders recorded this Facebook Live video to say that they are going to work together. Take a listen.
I want to reach out to this black man and say I love you. I respect you. If you need us, we got your back.
Both King Rick and Dr. Ali Muhammad both say that their groups need to unite to achieve their goals.
Now let's listen to how the new Black Panthers try to work their magic when it comes to the race war.
What do we want? Say it like you mean it, man. What do we want? Let this cracker hear you. You are not the ones that we saw on the television screen. You are not the ones that team up with your enemy with blood on the ground, blood on the floor of the church, blood coming out of the bodies of the 9, the Charleston 9, the mother Emmanuel 9. Blood on the ground. Blood on the ground. Sitting in the house of God, talking about we shall overcome. We shall overcome with who? Your enemy? We shall overcome with who? The children of the slave master and the children of slaves? No wonder you ain't overcome.
Come on now, tell it like it is.
No, I got to come and tell it like it is. We come to change the order here. We come to tell the other side of the story. We come to help you let them know that everything is not as they said it is. We come here to let you know that, goddammit, we don't forgive nobody. We ain't forgiving nobody. But somebody has to come here and fire up the field slave. Somebody has to come here and talk about those that ain't got nothing and ain't getting nothing. Black power? Look, Denmark. Denmark. That's right. Oh, we getting ready to rise up. Uprise, the tune changing here. Tune changing here. We come here to help you. We come here to help you like the God of the children of Israel came to help them. We come to help you. Denmark, VC had a plan to kill all the slave masters in the state. Denmark, VC had a plan to kill every last one of them and kill all of their goddamn families. But they got to him, and they caught him, and they killed him, and they lynched 35 others over the next 2 years with just what he was planning, as he was planning to get us out of this condition and get us on some boats and get us over to Haiti. We're out of Denmark, VC, and we need some new Denmark VCs today. That which we saw in that church does not represent the spirit of Denmark, VC. They have betrayed Denmark, VC. But the real children of Denmark, VC is out here today.
Black Power, Brother Sean. This is Sister Michelle, Chief of Staff for Tampa, St. Petersburg, chapter of the Black Panther Party. Black Power. I just want to say to all the listeners that's on this phone call, if you are having any doubts about getting suited, booted, and armed up for this race war that we in that has never ended, let me tell you something. The things that's about to happen to these honkies, these crackers, these pigs, these pink people, these motherfucking purple people, it has been long overdue. I say to everyone that is on this call right now, I'm coming out of the gates like that greyhound on that rabbit's ass. And his prize, my prize right now this evening is going to be the bounty, the arrest, dead or alive, for George Zimmerman. You feel me? To every brother, to every female, I am for violence if nonviolence means we continue postponing a solution to the American black man's problem just to avoid violence. You feel me? It's time to wake up. I don't know how else. It's in me to fight. It's in me to raise up soldiers. It's in me that every time my feet touch the ground, the state of Florida, these crackers, they scared. I'm telling you right now, I'm kind of pissed off right now that the state of Florida ain't on fire. This could not have happened in L.A. because them brothers up there are not scared to riot. This could not have happened in St. Petersburg, Florida, where the black men over there ain't scared to kill a cracker.
What am I saying? I damn it, we gonna have to kill some crackers.
Right, love it.
We gonna have to kill some cracker babies. Huh? To hell with what National Geographic putting out. I'm telling you to your face here tonight, we gonna have to kill some little Penelopes and some little Robbies. You wanna be free, don't you? Yes, sir. Y'all bullshit me. Not sounding like that.
Why we gotta kill them?
Kill them all.
You don't want to be free sounding like that. Right. Do you want to be free?
Yeah.
Do you want to be free?
Yes, sir.
Do you want to be free?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
That's why I got to fight this crap. Regardless to how you feel about me. Regardless to how anybody in this damn world feels about me. I'm going to fight this goddamn
seconds ago. Kill them all. Every last one of them. Don't spare one.
Speaking of terrorism, a Black Panther on radio said we must create a military to murder white babies in the hospitals and skin white people. I'll repeat it in case it didn't make it to NBC, CBS, ABC, or any of the other channels. A Black Panther spokesman with the name of Sean Coeli on a new Black Panther radio podcast on 7/16/12, courtesy of Breitbart. He said, I'm in Trenton. Do we have that on sound right now? Play clip 8.
I'm in Trenton, New Jersey right now, my hometown, Black. But we're too weak and sissy to go into Ewing and Lawrenceville and Hamilton, New Jersey, and even across the damn bridge to Marsville and drag some of these damn rusty, dusty-ass crackers out of their home, skin their asses alive, hang their asses up by some damn rope and some trees, stick the pit bulls on them, pour acid on their asses, dump them in the damn river, bring them back up, bust them in the head with rocks. We're just too damn scared for any of these type of maneuvers. If you want to be free, your baby's just born 3 seconds ago. You're going to have to go into the damn nursery and just throw a damn bomb in the damn nursery and kill everything white in sight.
Kill everything white in sight. Now, Janet Napolitano, who runs the sorority house called the Department of Homeland Security, is still focused on those opposed to abortion and returning military veterans, certainly not on those who just shot up the Family Research Council or the Black Panthers who must say we must murder white babies and skin white people. No, she's still focused on anti-abortionists. Only Romney and Ryan are capable of hate. The Black Panthers are not capable of hate because they have righteous grievances. I mean, hatred about killing and hanging crackers and setting them on fire, put acid on them, dunking them in the river. This is because, well, it's years of the pain, the built-up pain. And they have every right to feel that, the Black Panthers. But white people have no right to any kind of feelings of defense. You see, there's no reason for you to feel that you have any right to anything if you're a white person. You should give up your rights, as a matter of fact. You should give up your house and your car for past sins.
What we're here to do is to show support for the families and the victims who have been senselessly murdered throughout the United States. Well, our initiative is for black men and women to start arming themselves and for us to start patrolling our own communities. That way we have a visual and we have an eye on what's going on in our neighborhoods. So our mission is to arm every black man that can legally be armed throughout the United States of America.
So, they want all black people to be armed, while their puppet masters want all black people to be led into a race war where all black people will be wiped out. And this same plot is connected to the NFAC. The NFAC is that black militia group that you saw recently marching to Stone Mountain, Georgia with guns. Black gun owners and black gun clubs joined this march. But how many of these people were members of the NFAC before this is unknown. And the founder of the NFAC is a guy who calls himself the real GRaNDMaSTeR JaY. And he stole that name from JamMaster Jay, and most likely also from Grandmaster Flash. And he's caught a lot of flack in the music industry because of this and other things that he's done.
You know what I find interesting? I know white people are shook up about what happened, but we made history, and black people are the ones trying to tear it down. Black people are the ones. I'm beginning to think that y'all keep talking about who's an agent. You better go and look at some of these motherfuckers that ain't said nothing. I'm keeping it 100. They ain't said nothing. They just ain't working. Y'all saw the bullshit that they put up today. Y'all went and dug up some shit and half-ass told a story, but and then you ignored the fact, left out the fact that I ran for the presidency, and that on 9/11, all president candidates had to go to 9/11. Y'all remember when Hillary fell out? I was standing next to Hillary Clinton when she fell out, and they had to throw her ass in the van and her shoe came off. I was a presidential candidate. Everybody else out there was my goddamn opponents, including Trump. Trump hadn't won yet. Then none of us know he was going to do the shit he did when he got in the White House. So don't be throwing up no fucking picture like I'm one of the motherfuckers that kissed his ass. I was chasing his ass down so I could debate him on racism. And then he wanted to take a fucking picture. But hating ass niggas. Hating ass niggas. That came from black folks. Oh, that came from black folks, but let your haters be your elevators. Thank you, sir, because all you did was gave me another reason to let everybody know that I ran for the presidency and they were blinded to it. Thank you for all the newcomers that came here that didn't see that we just did this. Thank you for trying to throw that up like people like tell us something we don't know. And what the hell does that have to do? You know, I'm not going to go, I'm not going to do it either. There's a certain individual who's big in the black movement that wouldn't even say our name. He couldn't bring himself to say NFAC. Or we had a gang of black folks showed up. No, brother, say it. It wasn't a gang of black folks. It was the NFAC that showed up. It wasn't no random group of motherfuckers that just came together with guns and uniforms and marching in a fucking formation, just got together. Y'all don't even want to give credit because you're mad that it wasn't you. Well, he didn't choose you. And that's one of the things we got to deal with as a people. Stop hating on somebody else when they're being used by y'all to do something for the tribes when your ass won't do nothing. You wasn't there. You didn't even show up. So don't be sitting up there trying to condemn somebody, but the reason you won't say anything because the minute you do, it takes all the power from the fake shit you've been doing. I'm gonna see y'all on the flip side. Y'all got me heated up in here. You know I'm about to come back and put the figure 4 in the body slam on you spiritually. When we come back, I am going to open the golden mystic books of Egypt. And we're going to talk about, last week it was the book of morals and precepts. This week, if not, I have the ancient books right here before me. We're going to talk about two things that need to be talked about in order for us to fix our community. That's the upbringing of children, friends and enemies, and our tendency toward evil as written by our ancient ancestors, not written by the white man.
Yes, he's an Egyptian and an Israelite.
Facts over feelings on the air. You know that if you are a student of the Most High, you are in the right place. Come on in, make yourself comfortable. I bid you a greeting. I bid you shalom. To the Most High, we give the most praise. I want to send a major shout out to all of the members of the Not Fucking Around Coalition. We have become somewhat of a global phenomenon. Yes, the people are awake all around the world. And some of those folks have checked in and said, thank you for showing us how it's done. We'll take it from here. Now, everybody looking out their window because there's a gathering of people pissed off with pistols. You know, I saw the story. I've been watching the headlines. I know y'all been watching the headlines too. It's kind of distressing. Every time I read them, I know why the white people was upset. I'm going to read a couple of these headlines to you. Local militia challenges white supremacy during the 4th. Lie. Armed NFAC black militia at Stone Mountain. Facts. NFAC hold protests at KKK gathering site in Georgia on 4th of July to demand the removal of the carvings. Halfway true. I like the way they put this one. They put NFAC, Not Fucking Around Coalition, is in Georgia. That was a headline. And then somebody else said, what is the NFAC and does it really want Texas? Oh God, I'm dealing with people who just didn't graduate. Y'all skipped that last class, didn't y'all? They so fucking fixated on Texas that they didn't hear the second part, or let us leave. I know there should be some white people say, I didn't hear that part. Yeah, I'm going to say it again. We're not trying to stay up under you. Don't get mad at me. Don't call me a hater because I'm telling you the truth about you. I didn't make you. Y'all made you. I didn't put you in this situation. Y'all put you in that situation. I didn't make me. I'm so glad he put me in here. You know, every day I get up and I say to myself, why do they hate me so much? And then I happen to pass by the mirror and the mirror be like, where you going? Come here, beautiful black man. Let me talk to you for a minute. Then I'm like, talk to me, mirror. Mm-hmm. And then the mirror break it down to me. It said, you know, you are God personified on earth. The real man, the black man is, and that's why they hate you.
Now, do you see how he said he was God, but then kind of switched it up at the end? I've seen that before several times with other cult leaders who are sent to deceive the people. And if you think that that's not what he was saying, take a look at this video he made on his YouTube channel. I took out the audio, so just take a look at the visuals. Now, what do you think about him calling himself God?
Hey, it's Flo Rida, and I'm so happy to now be a part of the HSN family. Beams by Flo is fun for the entire family, and the best thing is, anyone in the family can make great music with it.
Do you know me? Well, if you don't, you're about to.
Come on, come on.
I'm the legendary GRaNDMaSTeR JaY.
If I say my name in any country, they go, yeah, I know that dude. GRaNDMaSTER JaY. They tacked on the legendary. I can't figure out yet what I did that was legendary, except, no, let me stop.
Today, I'm back because I need to introduce you to the future, because I've been so much a part of your past that I am the one to show you where we're going. 35 years I've been doing it, and now today, I'm proud to present to you the next evolution in the musical preview that we call DJ, what we call music delivery. This is the GRaNDMaSTER Beams, giving me the ability to do without anything in my hands what I've always done for years and years. Allow me to introduce you to the GRaNDMaSTER Beams, because now I can scratch without my turntables, you know what I mean? This is GRaNDMaSTER's Beams. I'm GRaNDMaSTER JaY, and I want to show you how we get down.
I'm GRaNDMaSTER JaY. 35 years I've been in this game. I've seen you come, I've seen you go, I seen you think you was hot, but 5 years later we don't even know the words to your song. I'm hip-hop. Some people say I'm the creator of the mixtape. Why? 2 times world champion, but I battle on tape. Come on. Come on. Come on. I'm hip hop. So you need to study the 70s if you want to find out who this brother is.
It's Tariq Nasheed #2.
I'm an arrogant millionaire with 8 Grammys, so I say what the fuck I want. These 2 niggas right here, my peoples. Next episode, another bankroll. Already 3 Grammys, already dropping it on Wayne, Jeezy, and everybody else. Shit, Chris Brown, the whole 9 y'all. We got tired of doing it for them. We gonna do it ourselves. One out. Y'all niggas better recognize. Thank you, Miller Lite, for partnering with us and let us use the name. Record debut, Super Bowl 2014. We out this motherfucker. Oh, by the way, big shout out to the Grammy board in Chicago. Good meeting with y'all, getting y'all endorsement. Y'all trying to make it, right? If the Grammys don't know you exist, how the fuck you think they're gonna vote for you to give you one? I'm done.
The winner is...
And the winner is...
And the Grammy goes to... DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince.
DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince.
DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince.
We're gonna do one album. Y'all gonna love it. We're gonna make sure you love it. And then when I walk across the stage and get my last Grammy, I've already got my speech put together. Would you like to hear it? To the members of the Academy and to all my peers,
I got tired of doing this. So I figured one last time, I will get me one last Grammy, and I put on a clinic on how to go from obscurity to being in the spotlight in 4 months, and got my Grammy in 6, and I'm retired. Good night. And y'all won't hear from me again, and I'm not Jay-Z. Watch when I say this shit. Y'all gonna be like, he told us he would say that.
First of all, I'd like to thank God, my family, and all the people who supported DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince for the past 6 years. Our record company, Jive, our management, Jarola Management, and basically all of the people out there who believed in us. Thank you.
I take that back. He's not just Tariq Nasheed. He's also Umar Johnson. And if you want more information on him and the backlash that he received from people in the music industry, pause the next 3 images on the screen and read the text on the screen. They're only 2 seconds in length each. And so if you don't want to read it, just let it play.
Call me Jay Johnson. And what world know me as GRaNDMaSTER JaY. You pick and choose, but right now my name is not important. I'm just another voice in the movement.
Gotcha. How long have you spent with the march since it began?
Oh my God. I got tired of everybody sitting back just running their mouth. I got off my couch and got into the movement back around the time that Rubain Brisbane was killed down in Phoenix. And ever since then, every major shooting by a police officer of an unarmed civilian, I've been actually on the ground, in the mix, in the march, in the courtrooms, with the legislature, with the families, all on the media. But I don't do it for the spotlight. I do it because if somebody doesn't come and have the intelligent conversations, then everybody was screaming for a revolution. It's going to find out that a revolution is bloody. Revolution overturns systems, and most of y'all not prepared to bleed. So let's go sit down and get some things done. Like in South Carolina, in 2 days I got them to pass a law where now all the law enforcement officials are required to wear body cameras. Since I've been here, in spite of everything that's happened, all the people that came in, that's good and fine, but I knew that when Friday came, if they didn't give these people something, they'd have burnt this bitch down. So that's when I came off the bench, and I've been here on the ground in Baltimore, through the hard time, through the up time, through the down time, interpreting and so forth in the celebration. And let me say this before I go. We can't have a solidified movement if everybody's running around character assassinating each other. Everybody running around wanting to talk about who the leader is and who the leader ain't. As far as I'm concerned, I ain't seen one yet. So I stepped in, and because I'm articulate enough and intelligent enough and impoverished enough and able to read enough, let me underline the word read enough, then I can actually sit down and have the intelligent conversation, not just about what's happening today, but what happened here 48 years ago. If you're not reading the intelligent Malcolm X reader, if you're not reading enough the theory of phony movements and fake leaders, if you're not reading the average American history book, if you're not reading the Covenant with America by Tavis Smiley, if you're not studying how the civil rights movement started then you're going to get caught up in what's wrong with the way it's starting right now. Because everybody didn't disagree. Somebody had to come along and unite everybody. And all I'm doing is trying to take all these different elements, all these different organizations, all these different views, and all I'm saying is, you can do you, but we got to unite and go after the low-hanging fruit. That's why all lives do matter. But right now, let's focus on black lives just for 2 seconds. And if that's what makes me a leader, then so be it. You can't own a slogan. You can't own a movement. And that's why I'm in it. GRaNDMaSTER JaY.
I am Jason Dinsmore, the editor-in-chief of B Magazine, proudly sitting here with someone I call a friend. I've known you for a couple years now, but even before then has been a legend and a pioneer and an activist, an artist, Mr. Jay Johnson, which John F. Johnson is how I'm going to address you today. Further introduce yourself. Tell the people who you are.
My name, as he quoted, thanks Jason for the introduction, is John Fitzgerald. John Fitzgerald Johnson, which is similar to John Fitzgerald Kennedy. We have something in common. He exited this world a great leader while I was being born. That is why I wear his name. The world may know me under different names because I've worn several hats in my life. I am ex-military, but there's your John Johnson. I am an ordained pastor, so that would be Pastor Johnson, Minister Jay, or you know me in the entertainment field as GRaNDMaSTER JaY. That's from the hip-hop world. And you may know me from all of the activism that I've been doing for the last almost 7 months now in the Black Lives Matter movement and subsequent movements, the War on Racism Coalition, and so forth, under that banner as simply Jay Johnson. And of course, today, the appropriate term would be John Fitzgerald for the capacity of what we're doing today. And so I've worn many hats. So whether you know me as Jay, whether you know me as John Fitzgerald, whether you know me as formerly GRaNDMaSTeR JaY or Jay Blaze, or if you know me as Sergeant Johnson, or you've encountered me as Minister Jay, I have walked many paths. So depending on which one of those paths you walked, we may have crossed at some time. Today we're going to cross a crossroads where they all come together. People always say your background is who you are. God says you're not what you've done. You are what I've created you. And I'll say this to anybody, if anyone ever brings up your background, says, my background is what made me what I am today. That's what brought this into fruition. And that's who I am, and I'm glad to be here with B Magazine. And of course, Jason's a very good friend of mine, and I will continue to keep him close because he's been with me through the valleys and through the peaks. And once again, we're starting to climb another mountain. Good to be here, Jason.
And by now, you should be able to realize that he's like an actor who takes on a role and really becomes the character that he's portraying. Now let's take a look at some footage from his march.
Everything you've been seeing, the police, discrimination in housing, a fucked up education, fucked up banking system, fucked up politics, are all tied to the KKK. You don't believe that, you don't know shit about this country.
Well, there goes my years of research down the drain. All this time, at the top of the pyramid was the KKK.
What's that right there? So what we gonna do is we gonna pay a visit to their home. Because we ain't talking to the police no more. They just work for the KKK. We ain't talking to the government no more because they are the KKK. We ain't talking to the banks no more because they are the KKK. We ain't talking to most white people because y'all are the KKK. Don't tell me that you ain't never been a slave on a motherfucker. I ain't never been a slave. But you riding around in my car. Won't even let me ride in the motherfucker, right? Hallelujah. So I'm not talking to them no more. I want the heart of the Ku Klux Klan to hear me no matter where the fuck you are. I'm in your house. Where you at? You made a threat. We don't threaten. We don't scare. Because we don't care. You threaten us, we gonna threaten you. You said you gonna start shooting white people at 8 o'clock, we gonna start shooting, black people at 8 o'clock, we gonna start shooting white people at 8:05. Threat, counter threat. Because threats don't mean shit to us. Y'all been threatening us since Birmingham. I ain't seen shit. Well, it's July the 4th. And all you scary ass Negroes that pass that shit around, look at what the fuck you did. You made blacks come out. I don't see no white militia. So to the boogie boys, the 3%ers, and all the rest of you scared ass rednecks, we here. Where the fuck you at? We in your house. Let's go. NFAC, motherfucker.
NFAC. Formation, fall in. Y'all see where it's at? Fall in. Right now. Take a look. Everybody, come on, man. Come on. Right here. Everybody, where it's at? Right here. Make room for everybody else.
Just like you did the other bullhorn. Got the motherfucking bullhorn.
Tighten it up, guys.
Who got the bull? Bring me the goddamn bullhorn. Thank you. Y'all come on up here and form up. Just like y'all did in the parking lot. Long ways on the street. Come on up here. Form it up. 8 columns. Y'all know how we did. Put this formation right here. Move on down that street. 4 columns. Let's go. Stay in the street. Do not come on the sidewalk. Y'all done forgot how to form up? We got to do it again.
Left side.
Get into formation. Line up. Just like you did when we left out. Only you facing me. Keep your hands off the trigger. If you need to drink water, drink water. If you are a spectator, do not get behind me. Nobody gets, you'll fuck around and get shot. Do not get behind me.
I'ma say y'all can't follow simple motherfucking instructions. I said nobody behind me. And you motherfuckers are steady walking. That's why we can't get free. Cause can't nobody get on the same sheet of music and stay there. I want you to know I need you, come here. I need you to come here. This is the whole purpose we here, come here. No, don't turn me your ass to me. Come bend down so I can talk to you. I want you to get shot with this motherfucking back. See that shit back there? No, I want you right there. Okay. So when I speak, I want that shit in the background for what I'm about to say. Now I came out here because I want y'all to know something. The white people scared y'all. Y'all hold on to this. Y'all hold on a minute.
Rock that up. Right.
This statue, let it go, man. Don't do that. I don't know what you just did. You fucked up my whole shit. What you just did? Hey, fix that for me, bro. It was working. I don't know what you did. Jimmy, come on. Turn the motherfucker back on. I don't know what you did. All right, hit the side of the turn the side of the now, you ain't got me up. You cut me from here off. Come on, y'all. That's why I told you don't fuck with it. I said don't fuck with it. Check. Check one, check two. It might be dead. No, it might, something really is. Black power! Black power! Black power! Black power! Black power! We don't scare! We don't scare! We don't scare! Check one. All right, we back. You see that shit up there on that mountain? That's the largest monument to what they did to us. That shit needs to go away. They figured it out a long time ago. The only way to get rid of it is to blow it up. Y'all ain't heard what I just told y'all. The only way to get rid of it is to blow the motherfucker up. Now, I'm not saying we gonna blow it up, but if it get blowed up, you know. Far be it for me to encourage that type of shit, because I want to welcome all the members from the Department of Homeland Security that came down this morning. The FBI, yeah, we saw y'all this morning too. Federal Tactic Team that came down from DC, we glad y'all here too. You know what I am? I'm your worst nightmare, bro. And once you go in there and see that comedy and shit, this ain't the one you want to talk to, bro. We ain't no Black Lives Matter. We ain't none of that bullshit. Go ahead, sit on. We're Black Militia, and shit is your worst nightmare. Go ahead. We're Black Militia, bro. Leave me alone. Let me talk to the Edomite for a minute. What are you? I just told you what I was. What are you? What are you is the question. Everywhere you go, you invade, steal, rape, rob, and kill us. Oh, really? Then you steal people's culture, then you have the nerve to have an attitude about it. Where's our reparations? Thank you. Of course. I like the song. What did I do to you? It's not what you did. What's the answer? She did. You benefit from me. Go ahead, that white denial shit before you lose your life. Fuck out my face. I like the song. What did I do to you? It's not what you did. What's the answer? She did. You benefit from me. Go ahead, that white denial shit before you lose your life. Fuck out my face.
What did I do to you? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. It's because of his race that he's guilty. I mean, think about it. Did he do any type of background check on this guy? Does he know this guy? Does he know this guy's family history? No. He's guilty just because of his race. And about 20% of whites owned slaves, which means about 80% did not. Now let me say that again, about 80% did not. And many Europeans came to the U.S. after slavery was abolished. So what are the chances that he or any other white person in the U.S. has ancestors who owned slaves? Ancestors who owned slaves just like blacks, Native Americans, and Jews. And what percentage of whites were actually involved in the slave trade? What, less than 1%? So 100% of white people who lived back then are guilty? And if that sounds insane, how insane is it to believe that their descendants are guilty? Well, you benefited. Who didn't benefit from it? And how many people had a choice to benefit from it or not? That's like saying someone is bad, evil, guilty, or wrong just for being born. And in this case, just for being born white. So once again, it's because of his race. It's because he's white. Before you lose your life. What? Before you lose your life over that? What kind of a man is that? What kind of a leader is that? And he confronted this guy just because he smiled or laughed. That's not a sign of strength. That's a sign of weakness. And do you remember all of the things this guy, GRaNDMaSTeR JaY, said he accomplished in his life? Well, how the heck did you accomplish all of that if you're oppressed? If you need to get free? Please explain that one. And even if this guy or this group is no longer used to arm or mobilize blacks, they can still be used in some other way to counter the pro-Second Amendment argument, easily. So stay away from this guy, this group, and all of the other controlled opposition groups. And please share this video to warn others.